This is Ring doorbell camera footage from a chilling event in Fairfield, California. A man in a trench coat pounds on the front door of a family home, screaming the same question over and over. "Where is your daughter?"
"Where's your daughter, man? Where's your daughter, man?
What are you talking about?
Where's your daughter?"
Inside, the homeowner's wife and child are alone. The homeowner himself is away from the house, but he can see everything unfolding through his doorbell camera, and he starts speaking to the intruder through the app. The man's response: he threatens the homeowner, then identifies himself as Harry Dresden, a fictional wizard from a series of fantasy novels. Watch what he does to the doorbell itself.
"My name is Harry Dresden, Open the door. This is my neighborhood. Open the door." "Now, or I will end you. Do you understand me?"
After smashing the camera and trying to kick his way through the front door, the man disappears from frame. Police say he eventually forced his way in through a glass side door, then moved through the house room by room, tearing open closet doors and screaming for the daughter. By now, the homeowner is racing back. He arrives, arms himself with a shovel, and confronts the intruder head-on. Both men suffer head injuries in the struggle before the man in the trench coat flees the scene. He doesn't get far. Police find him near the property, and this scary video shows the moment they take him into custody. The intruder was identified as 30-year-old Jason Nichols. He's been charged with felony assault with a deadly weapon, burglary, threatening crime with intent to terrorize, and vandalism. And after his arrest made headlines, a parent came forward to report a disturbing encounter between Nichols and their own child just days before the break-in, leading to an additional charge. At his arraignment, the judge raised Nichols' bail from $35,000 to $250,000. No ghosts here, no shadow figures, just a stranger at the door screaming for someone's daughter. Sometimes the most terrifying thing caught on camera is a person. For months now, TikTok user Tatila Pez has been documenting something she can't explain inside her own apartment. It started small, lights flashing on and off with nobody near the switch.
Y empezó a pasar todo esto. La concha de su hermana, hermano. Qué rompebolas que son. No paran un segundo.
Then came the kitchen. She hears something from the other room and grabs her camera.
No hay nadie. Miren. Literalmente no.
The utensils are moving on their own, rattling in their holder.
Qué pesado, hermano. Qué ganas de romper las bolas que tiene.
Not long after, she and her family arrived home to something worse.
Llegamos a la sesión y en la pieza, la cual estaba apagada, está las luces LED prendidas y no sé si alcanzan ver esa silueta, sombra.
Standing in the window of their apartment was a black figure watching from inside a home that should have been empty.
Llegamos a la sesión y en la pieza, la cual estaba apagada, está las luces LED prendidas y no sé si alcanzan ver esa silueta.
When they went inside and searched the place, there was nobody there.
Y no hay nadie en la casa.
No, encima miren, el control está en la cama. No, qué bronca.
Then it escalated in front of a live audience. During a TikTok live stream, while she was talking through the strange events in her home, a drawer behind her appeared to slide open on its own.
Pasa eso, si eso después, o sea, ¿por qué lo hacen? Si eso tarde o temprano te vuelve. De cierto modo, vos estás sabiendo que estás haciendo un trabajo a cierta persona, ya sea.
By this point, the family had had enough. They set up cameras in several rooms running around the clock, and one of them caught this. an eerie shadowy figure moving in the reflection of a window. Now, a haunting released one clip at a time is exactly the kind of thing skeptics love to call staged, and it's true that a slow drip paranormal series does wonders for views, but it's her most recent upload that has even the doubters paying attention.
Bueno, esta es la segunda parte de mi amiga imaginaria. Ella sale atrás mío.
She dug out photos from her childhood.
En esta, si no me equivoco, ella sale.
And in image after image, there's the faint figure of another child, one nobody in the family can account for. As a little girl, she called her an imaginary friend.
Acá ella me está mirando a mí. Y acá se ve atrás mío. De este lado.
Her caption puts it plainly. That little girl, she says, is the same one still in her house to this day. Please tell me that isn't a shadow figure at the end of the hallway. That's the title of a post shared to Reddit's Ghosts forum by user Bianca5150, and the story behind it starts about as innocently as it gets. She and her girlfriend had a problem. One of their dogs kept tearing up their stuff, and they wanted to catch the culprit in the act. So they set up a camera and left the house for about 20 minutes. While they were out, the camera pinged them with a motion notification. At first glance, it looked like nothing, but watch the far end of the hallway, right where the door frame sits. There, at the edge of the doorway, a dark shape appears to move through the frame. According to the uploader, nobody was home, and the other cameras around the house showed no one entering. When a commenter suggested the shadow had simply moved behind a wall, she pushed back. Whatever it was, she says it was heading from the direction of the front door straight into her mother's bedroom. Commenters offered the usual rational explanations, a trick of the light or the shadow cast by the door itself, maybe the camera's exposure adjusting, making the darkness look like a person walking away. But one suggestion has stuck with readers ever since. Someone raised the possibility that a person could be living undetected in the walls or the attic, which leaves the explanations for this footage in two camps. A shadow figure haunting the hallway, or a living intruder hiding somewhere inside the house. Honestly, it's hard to say which one is worse. Not every unexplained video leaves you sleeping with the lights on, some do the exact opposite. This reel was shared on Instagram by Realtor Jenna, and it begins with a question put to a little girl ahead of her birthday. Her father has passed away. Her family asks what she'd like Daddy to send her to see if he can do it.
Tell Daddy what you want him to send you on your birthday, and we'll see if it happens, if he can do it, okay? All right.
Butterflies, rainbow butterflies.
Rainbow butterflies? Okay, we'll see.
Her answer, given without a moment's hesitation, was rainbow butterflies. Fast forward to the party itself. As the family cleans up afterwards, something starts moving through the kitchen. A purple happy birthday balloon floating around the room, and the family notices something odd about it. The string isn't trailing behind the way you'd expect. It hangs strangely straight as the balloon moves. It drifts across the kitchen and comes to rest beside a pink gift bag sitting on the counter. A gift bag covered in rainbow butterflies. The uploader's message on screen says it plainly. I know it's him. Now, a helium balloon wandering around a kitchen isn't hard to explain. Balloons drift, air moves. But this family had asked for a sign, and of all the places in that kitchen the balloon could have settled, it chose the one spot covered in rainbow butterflies. For her family, that was all the answer they needed. The camera in this bedroom has a motion sensor. It only starts recording when something moves, which raises a simple question about this scary video because both people in the frame were fast asleep. So what set it off? There's a strange dark mist emanating from near the top of the bed. The footage was shared on Instagram by Amy Ravas. A few moments later comes a second anomaly. Watch the large pillow beside the sleeping woman. It seems to shift on its own. The uploader's caption is disarmingly honest. Me, I don't believe in ghosts. Also me, at 2 in the morning, watching this video for the 10th time. Skeptics note the mist appears right as the camera reframes, which could mean nothing more than motion blur. The pillow is harder to dismiss. Neither sleeper appears to wake. But this camera doesn't record stillness. Something in that room moved. The question is what? The man filming this next clip had no idea he'd captured anything strange at all. It was October 2021 and he was recording his nephew in the kitchen one day before the boy's 2nd birthday. Just a toddler pottering around with a kitten and a little pink basket. At some point, the boy carries the basket off, out of the camera's view, and that's when it happens.
Acá está, mira, acá está. Ven.
The pink basket comes sliding back into view, moving across the floor with nothing behind it.
Ven.
According to the family, there was nobody else in that kitchen, just the uncle filming and the boy. Their mum was out in the yard and that's her voice you can hear in the distance. Nobody noticed a thing in the moment. The uncle kept filming. The boy kept playing. It was only when the video was shared around the family that someone finally spotted the basket moving. But maybe the strangest part is this. The moment fooled everyone in the room while it was happening. It took a fresh pair of eyes days later to catch it, which makes you wonder how many odd little moments are sitting in videos we've already watched, waiting for someone to notice.
Ven. Ven para acá, José.
A little earlier in this countdown, one explanation for a hallway shadow was somehow worse than a ghost, a stranger hiding inside the house. This next post is what happens when the whole internet reaches that conclusion at once. It was shared to Reddit's Unexplained forum by user WorthCoast2 The post is written in French, but the fear translates just fine. The poster explains he moved into his house about a year ago. Nothing unusual has happened, not once. Then one day, his hallway camera, which snaps photos whenever it detects movement, sent him an alert. He was home at the time, sitting in his living room. He heard nothing at all. Then he opened the photos the camera had just taken. There, in the darkness at the end of his hallway, is what looks like a human shape. He checked the hallway, then every other room in the house. Nothing was out of place, so he turned to Reddit, hoping someone would tell him it was a display glitch, a pixel error, anything. The top comment asked whether he had an attic or a crawl space or a room that feels smaller than it should be. Because in their words, that's definitely a person. They recommended a thermal camera to check for hidden spaces and told him to notify the police. There's a name for what they were describing. It's called frogging. People secretly living inside someone else's home in attics, basements and crawl spaces, sometimes for months, only coming out when the owners are away or asleep. Another commenter shared a story that stuck with everyone who read it. A woman kept baking baguettes only to find small amounts missing every morning. She thought she was losing her mind. It turned out a neighbour was crawling in through the air vents above her fridge each night, helping himself and climbing back out. Their advice to the poster was simple: please check your small spaces. The poster replied that he doesn't have an attic. What he does have is dead space under the roof, where the electrical conduits run. It's unlivable, he said, insulation everywhere. Then he added that he'd go and take a look. One reply summed up the mood of the entire thread. Famous last words. At the time of writing, he hasn't posted an update. At 3:52 in the morning, the Blink security camera inside this home picked up a sound, a strange, heavy thump, like something being ejected into the room. What follows is one of the oddest little clips we've seen in a while. There's a lot packed into those few seconds. First that thud, like something being launched into the room. Then a small pale shape drifts across the living room, floating like a feather caught in a current. And then the strangest part of all. As it comes down near the edge of the kitchen, it appears to morph, mid-air, into the homeowner's cat. The uploader, Annika_Z, posted the footage with a simple plea. Please tell me what this is. You can even hear it. The comments didn't take the question seriously. The top reply insists her cat is a shapeshifter and adds, helpfully, I hope this helps. Another viewer blamed a certain shape-shifting professor from a famous wizarding school. So what do you think is going on in this clip? Let us know your best theory in the comments section below. It was only ever meant to be a photograph. A family in Huautla de Jimenez, a mountain town in Oaxaca, Mexico, were taking a picture of a little girl when her mum pressed the wrong button. Instead of a photo, the phone started recording. She stopped it moments later and thought nothing of it. It was hours before anyone looked at that accidental video properly, and when they did, they spotted something that shouldn't have been there. The clip lasts barely a moment, so keep your eyes fixed on the girl's leg. A small, strange shape emerges from behind her leg, then slips straight back out of sight. The family are convinced they know exactly what they captured, a duende. In Latin American folklore, duendes are small, human-like beings, mischievous spirits said to hide in forests and homes, snatch belongings, and take a particular interest in children. The belief blends old Iberian legends with indigenous traditions, and in the misty mountain towns of Oaxaca, duende stories have been told for centuries. So for the region where this video was filmed, this isn't a ghost story, it's something far older. The family sent the video privately to a relative with a very big platform. Sergio Castrejon, brother of Yuya, one of Mexico's biggest internet stars, posted it to Instagram in June 2026. Every news article and re-upload since traces back to that post. The original camera file has never been made public. And here's what makes this scary video different from most. The man who posted it doesn't believe in this stuff. Sergio says so himself, openly, in his own narration. Before uploading, he even ran the clip through an artificial intelligence to check whether it had been generated or doctored. According to him, it came back clean, though the same AI offered a mundane possibility. The figure could simply be shadows. His followers had theories of their own. A squirrel's tail, a toy monkey someone placed beside her leg as a prank. Sergio ended his video with an open plea. He asked his followers not to make a fool of him. If there's a trick to this video, he said, tell me what it is. The clip has been debated across Mexico ever since. Plenty of theories, but so far, nobody's shown him the trick. We start in Ghana, where a woman has been arrested after allegedly breaking into the home of her late friend while disguised as a ghost. The incident unfolded on a Saturday evening in Agric, a suburb in the Ashanti region, when neighbours noticed movement inside the room of a woman who'd passed away just a few weeks earlier. When they went to investigate, they found a woman in her 30s covered head to toe in white cloth, allegedly removing clothes from the deceased's wardrobe. The suspect was no stranger. She was reportedly a close friend of the dead woman and had served as her assistant in a local community group. According to eyewitnesses, she claimed her late friend's spirit had been disturbing her at night, and that a fetish priest had told her the hauntings would only stop if she took some of the dead woman's clothing for a ritual. Residents rejected the explanation and detained her until she could be handed over to local police, who are now investigating her motive and whether she acted alone. From a ghost you can film to videos an algorithm doesn't want you to see, the BBC has published a deep dive into what users are calling the TikTok farlands. The idea goes like this. Beneath TikTok's polished, upbeat feed sit billions of videos the algorithm never shows you, and users claim they've found a way in by swapping cryptic strings of letters and numbers in comment sections. Plug one of those codes into the search bar and the feed reportedly transforms into something darker. Nightmarish AI-generated figures, warped, glitching faces, clips that look like corrupted video files. The name comes from an old Minecraft glitch, where walking far enough would break the game's terrain into chaos. The edge of the world. One media professor described the farlands as the end of the internet where things get weird. Whether it's a genuine hidden layer of the platform or a modern urban legend, nobody can quite say, and honestly, that's half the appeal. From the depths of TikTok to the pages of an economics journal, researchers from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and Bar Ilan University analysed more than 20 years of reports from the National UFO Reporting Centre and found a strange pattern. UFO sightings climb during economic downturns and fall when times are good, and at any given moment, wealthier areas log more sightings than poorer ones. Their conclusion, published in a Nature journal, is that UFO reports work as a kind of barometer of public attention. When people are out of work or stuck at home, more eyes drift to the sky. Sure enough, sightings spiked during the COVID lockdowns, so if you notice a sudden surge in UFO reports, it might be worth checking the share market. But not every sighting fits neatly on a spreadsheet. Our last story comes from an astronaut. A new documentary called Beyond Blue Sky tells the story of the world's first private astronauts, the test pilots of Spaceship One, and buried in it is a revelation. Brian Binney, a Princeton-educated engineer who flew 33 combat missions across 20 years in the US Navy, shares a close encounter on camera for the very first time. In December 2003, Binney flew Spaceship One's first rocket-powered flight, becoming the first pilot to go supersonic in a privately funded aircraft. But the landing went badly, damaging the craft and leaving him fearing he'd never fly it again. 6 days later, at around 4 in the morning, bright light poured through his bedroom blinds. His backyard was lit up like broad daylight while everything beyond it stayed pitch black. And within that light hovered around a dozen translucent, glowing orbs. 2 of them approached from about 15 meters away, passed straight through his window and entered his chest. He spun around expecting to see them behind him. They were gone. Binney, a trained engineer and test pilot, spent years trying to find a conventional explanation. He never did. What he did find was purpose. He credited the encounter with giving him the drive to climb back into the cockpit, and 10 months later he flew Spaceship One into space and claimed the $10 million Ansari X prize. He confided in aerospace colleagues for 2 decades, but only told the story on camera before his passing. The filmmaker who captured it says simply that he believes him. That's your weird news for the week. Now back to the countdown. Night shift security work comes with long, empty hours. One guard filled his with something stranger. Every so often, in the early hours of the morning, he'd film the monitor in front of him and send the footage home to his family. One of those recordings was later posted to Reddit's Paranormal Videos forum by user He Rin, whose father was the guard behind the camera. The monitor shows a hallway in night vision. And hanging in that hallway is a large, pale, blurry anomaly, like fog that's gathered indoors. It appears to shift ever so slightly. And it kept happening, different days, always the early morning, always the same hallway, always the same shape. The uploader says the family never had the slightest idea what it could be. Their verdict on the footage, not scary, just weird. And yet after years of these videos arriving from their father's night shifts, the uploader has formed an impression they can't shake. They can't point to a single detail that proves it, but something in that pale shape reads as human to them. When you move into an old fraternity house, you inherit more than the building. Recently, some current members of one fraternity ran into a group of older men, members who'd lived in the same house years before them. And the older men had a question. Had anyone experienced anything strange on the third story? Not really, the current members said. A few of the guys got an off-putting vibe in the attic. Sometimes they heard footsteps up there. Nothing more. That's when the older members shared a photo. It was taken at a house party back around 2013. Two men posing for the camera, drinks in hand, and in the gap between them, half hidden in the dark, is what looks like a face. The older members swear there was no one standing behind them that night. Nobody noticed a thing until the morning after. The photo was shared to Reddit's Paranormal Encounters forum by one of the current residents, and to their credit, they're not selling it too hard. They admit they're not a big believer in ghosts. Maybe the picture's been photoshopped, maybe the older guys were having a laugh at their expense, but if it was a prank, they wrote, those men were pretty good actors. As for the house itself, the poster has heard stories it was used as a tuberculosis home at the turn of the last century, though public records only reach back to 1921. The top comment offered the tidiest explanation. An older frat brother photobombed the picture back in 2013. The result looked accidentally terrifying, and a decade on, he's found the perfect way to haunt the next generation. Maybe so. Either way, the photo now belongs to the house's newest residents, along with the footsteps upstairs. Late one night, somewhere in South Asia, a delivery rider pulls up to drop off an order. He calls the customer to work out where he's going, and she starts giving him directions. Straight ahead, she tells him, keep coming straight. Then he realizes where her directions are leading. The road ends at the gates of a graveyard. He asks the obvious question, ma'am, you're ordering food to a cemetery? She confirms it. Come in through the gate, she tells him. Come in, come in.
नहीं मैम इसके अंदर मैं नहीं आ पाऊंगा आप ऐसा गेट पे आके अगर लेना हो तो ले लीजिए वरना ऑर्डर मैं कैंसिल कर दूंगा
The rider refuses. He tells her plainly that he's scared, that he won't set foot inside, and that he'd rather cancel the order than walk through those gates.
मैम रहने दीजिए आप ऑर्डर कैंसिल कर दीजिए मैं अंदर नहीं आ पाऊंगा सीधी बात अंदर कुछ है ही नहीं एकदम अंधेला है सब अंदर तो अंधेला है.
She keeps pushing. She's in there with friends. She insists. Not a party exactly, just a discussion.
नहीं मैम इसके अंदर मैं नहीं आ पाऊंगा आप ऐसा गेट पे आके अगर लेना हो तो ले लीजिए वरना ऑर्डर मैं कैंसिल कर दूंगा.
And then she says the line that's launched 1,000 comment threads. There's nothing inside. It's dark.
मैम भूतों की बात नहीं है आप गेट पे आके लीजिए बात ये है मैम रहने दीजिए आप ऑर्डर कैंसिल कर दीजिए मैं अंदर नहीं आ पाऊंगा सीधी बात.
The rider holds his ground and the clip ends with the order still undelivered. This scary video was shared to TikTok by What's Dot happening 19, where it's pulled in well over 1 million views. The on-screen text speaks for the rider. He's paid to deliver biryani, not to become biryani for ghosts. And the uploader's caption sums up the internet's favourite theory. Maturity, it reads, is when you realise you are the order. In other words, a huge number of viewers have decided the writer wasn't talking to a customer at all. Now, staged delivery clips are their own genre online, and nobody's verified where this call actually took place or who was on the other end of it. It could all be theatre. But listen to the writer's voice again. If that fear is acting, it's very good acting.
नहीं मैम आप गेट पे आके ले लीजिए मैं कब्रिस्तान के अंदर नहीं आ पाऊंगा कैसी बात आप कर रही हैं और अंदर
And if it isn't, then late one night, a woman sat inside a graveyard calmly assuring a frightened stranger that there was nothing in there with her, just the dark. Want to see more mysterious videos? Then hit that subscribe button and turn on all channel notifications. That way you'll always know when we drop our scary video compilations. Two faces have been staring out of everyone's feed for weeks now. Gaunt, olive-skinned, eyes like wet glass. One's labelled P47, the other P52, and according to the captions, these aren't aliens at all. They're us, humans, tens of thousands of years from now, coming back to check on the timeline that created them. The images exploded across TikTok and Instagram in mid-2026, usually stitched to a clip of a woman speaking calmly into a webcam. Her name was Amy Eskridge, an anti-gravity researcher from Huntsville, Alabama, and in the footage she asks a question that's now been viewed millions of times. Have you heard of the P52s and the P47s? They're us from the future, she says. They are you, they are me, they are from here.
Have you heard of the P52s and the P47s? Do you know what that is? They're us from the future.
Eskridge wasn't some anonymous poster. She co-founded the Institute for Exotic Science, worked on exotic propulsion, and came from a NASA family in a city built on rocket research. She also said the institute existed as protection because if you stick your neck out in public, at least someone notices if your head gets chopped off.
P47 is present plus 47,000 years. P52 is present plus 52,000 years.
In June 2022, Amy Eskridge was found dead in Huntsville from a gunshot wound. Police ruled it as self-inflicted. A month earlier, she'd sent a colleague a text message. It read, "If you see any report that I killed myself, I most definitely did not." For 4 years, almost nobody outside the UFO community knew her name. Then in 2026, the FBI opened an investigation into 11 scientists tied to sensitive aerospace and nuclear research who died or vanished, and Eskridge's case landed on the list. Footage surfaced of her claiming her hands had been burned by a directed energy weapon. A US congressman went on record saying there was significant evidence she'd been targeted with microwave energy. And when the Pentagon unsealed its UAP files that May, her old interview clip detonated across every algorithm on the internet. Which brings us back to those two faces, because here's where the story starts to unravel. The P designations don't come from Eskridge. They trace back to one man, a self-described Area 51 microbiologist named Dan Burish, who claimed in the mid-2000s that he'd worked inside the S4 facility with a captive being called J. Rod, a future human from a crashed craft at Kingman, Arizona in 1953. Burish said 2 groups of our descendants were visiting Earth. The P45s, rogue greys from 45,000 years ahead, and the P52s, their benevolent cousins from 52,000 years out. Notice the numbers. Burish said P45, Eskridge said P47. She was recalling his story slightly wrong, and the internet ran with her version. No other whistleblower in 20 years has ever used those designations. The entire mythology rests on a single man's testimony. And the photos? That's where this gets stranger. Because the trail doesn't lead to Burish or to Eskridge or to any classified program. It leads backwards. The same portraits were circulating on Facebook UFO pages as far back as 2011, years before Eskridge ever spoke on camera. Since then, they've drifted through Russian secret book lore, image boards, and alien races compilations, always rephotographed off a screen, as if someone wanted to bury where they came from. And here's the detail almost nobody scrolling past them has noticed. The originals weren't a pair, they were a set of 3. The third face carries no designation, no P number, no name, no viral moment. Its skin is deeply wrinkled, its skull swollen, and unlike the other two, its eyes look unnervingly human. While P47 and P52 rack up millions of views, the third portrait just keeps quietly resurfacing in the darker corners of the internet, unlabeled and unexplained. In 15 years, no artist has ever claimed these images. No original file has ever surfaced, every copy is a photo of a photo, and every trail runs cold in the same place. Whoever made them, and whatever they were meant to show, remains a complete blank. So we're left with two mysteries coiled around each other, three faces nobody can source, wearing names borrowed from a story only one man ever told. And a scientist who spent her final months insisting someone was coming for her. Amy Eskridge left her own closing statement, and it's the one detail in this whole story that no one's been able to explain away. If you see any report that I killed myself, I most definitely did not. 4 years later, the FBI is still asking questions about her death, and all the while, those three unclaimed faces keep resurfacing feed after feed, staring out at millions of us waiting for someone to finally work out what they really are. Now, if you want to see some more scary videos, then check out those links on screen right now, and I'll see you in the next one.